So this video is going to give you 12 top tips to make the best of your maths exam. First tip is that you can be pretty sure what's going to come up in your exam. So you've been forewarned. So forewarned is forearmed. Know what to expect. You should be on the lookout for certain types of question which come up year after year. You can expect all aspects of the course to be covered. So keep your eye out so that you're able to identify certain types of question that you would expect to come up. That way, you know or should know exactly what you have to do. Tip number 2, work through the practice papers, the past papers that have been issued year after year over the past number of years. It's the same style of paper you're going to face, the same types of question, the wording will be the same, the layout will be the same. So the more familiar you are with what's come up in the past, the more comfortable you'll be on the day of the exam with what's in front of you. Number 3, when you are doing these practice papers, make sure that you time yourself. It's all very well working through a practice paper when you're relaxed and time isn't an issue and you're going at your own pace. But if you try and work through these papers in the time constraints that are identified on the front cover, then that'll give you a real idea of how prepared you actually are to do the exam under exam conditions. Number 4, when you're reading the question, make sure you read it carefully. Read it twice, in fact, because if you are just rushing through and misunderstanding what it's asking you to do or missing out on certain details, whether it's how accurate to give your answer or whatever it might be, you are going to end up throwing away marks that you should not be throwing away. So read the question carefully and then hopefully you'll have a proper idea of what you're being asked to do. Number 5, look at the marking scheme. The marking scheme will detail how much time roughly you should be spending on each question. If it's a 1-mark question, don't spend the whole paper thinking about what you have to do. Just ignore it, go on to something else. If it's a 4-mark question and you're doing it in 10 seconds flat, then clearly you've maybe misunderstood what you're supposed to be doing. So the marking scheme gives you a rough idea of what work is going to be involved in each question. Number 6, keep your eyes peeled for any trigger words or phrases. You should have a response ready to give to whatever you face in each question. So if you see a certain turn of phrase or a certain scenario given to you, you should know exactly what you have to do. So if it says, what is the nature of the roots, then you should know, well, that means I need to use a discriminant to find the nature of the roots. So make sure that you are well versed in all of these key points, key words, key phrases, because if you don't know what the consequences of these bits of information are, then you will not be able to answer the question. Number 7, don't spend too long on any one question. At National 5, you're free to do the questions in any order you like because the questions are right on paper, so you can do it from front to back, back to front, in whatever order you like. What I would advise you to do in a right on paper is just do the questions that you're comfortable with, first of all. Build up your confidence, settle into the paper. If there's anything you're not sure of, just leave it, come back to it, and that way you're not going to run out of time with questions still to be looked at, still to be answered that you could and should have answered before time is called. So don't spend ages on any one question. It's only one question. You'd be far better spending your time getting marks you can get than scratching your head trying to work out how to answer a particularly difficult or tricky question. Number 8, if in doubt, make it up. You could probably pass your exam quite well and have all your answers incorrect. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you make a mistake and what you do subsequent to that is correct, you will be awarded follow-through marks. What you want to do on the day of your exam is demonstrate your knowledge. You want to showcase the skills that you possess so that the person marking your exam is able to give you and to award you the marks. It's not necessary to have the correct answers. As long as you have the correct steps and the correct processes, then you should be picking up marks as you work your way through the paper. If you come up against a roadblock, a stumbling block, and you can't proceed any further, then just make something up and run with it. So if you're asked to find the equation of a straight line and you can't remember how to find the gradient, just make something up for the gradient, sub it in, proceed from there, and as long as you haven't made the question any easier, you will be awarded the majority of the marks available. Number 9, ask yourself, does my answer make sense? If you have a sketch of a line, for example, a straight line, and you find that it's sloping down the way as you look at the picture from left to right, and you find that the gradient is positive, then clearly you have gone wrong somewhere. The gradient ought to be negative. So ask yourself, does my answer make sense? Does it look like it would be what I'm saying it is? Because that should really ring alarm bells if it doesn't tie in. Number 10, look at the formula sheet. It will be your friend on the day of the exam. Make sure you copy them down correctly, because if you don't, you're just throwing away a better mark. Make sure that you know what's going to be on the formula sheet. Make sure you know what's not going to be on the formula sheet, and make sure you know when to use each of the formulae. Number 11, always show your work. Like I said before, you want to demonstrate and showcase the skills and abilities that you have, and if it is unclear how you have arrived at your conclusion from the initial question, you will not be awarded full marks. You've got to show what you did. You've got to tell the story, as it were, from start to end, and you can't skip out steps. And finally, if you're allowed to leave the exam room early, don't. Stay in for the time that you've given, because otherwise, once you're out of the exam, you can't go back and improve on what you've got down on paper. If you feel that you've gone over everything and you've checked everything, then just take a few minutes, just close your eyes, whatever, come back to it with a fresh head, and then that way you might pick up on something that you've missed out on. Use the time available, look out for silly, careless mistakes. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. You are you're responsible for your performance, and you're only going to get one shot at it, so use the time available to you. So these are just 12 quick tips that will hopefully stand you in good stead when it comes to assessment and exams, and I hope that when these do come up, that all will go well for you. Okay, thanks for listening.